Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Friday, August 15th, just about 11:30 at night. Still doing the vacation edition of these videos. And this is our Friday recap for YieldMax weekly paying funds, ULTY, the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, the Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income ETF. A reminder, I'm on X at ETF_Inspector1. I let you know heads up, like, hey, tonight's video is going to be late. Lots of recaps, lots of reposts of YieldMax, Roundhill, things like that. Let you know when videos are going to be happening. And also, I wanted to mention this. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ambassador of Quan's putting on a show and invited me and Max Convexity to speak at on the show. So we'll be talking all about ULTY, ins and outs, kind of in like a Sports Center style format. So it should be cool. And I'll pin the link to the top of the comments if I remember at the. We're way past my bedtime. But all right, so we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna try and make this a quick video, so I can get this out and get to bed. We were at the boardwalk all night. So ULTY closed down 590. We're getting into some low territory. A lot of people haven't seen it this low. Down a couple cents, 5 cents total. You saw on the thumbnail, a mixture of red and green. We'll go through quickly and speak on those, how things are looking. And then LFGY was actually positive. It just turned positive right at the end of the day, 0.22% or 8 cents. And again, you got a mixture of red and green. We'll talk about what did the best and what did not do so well. We'll start with ULTY. Normally Fridays are heavy on trades because you got to close and roll everything, but with a week like we just had, a lot already got taken care of earlier in the week. So for starters, they bought 130,000 more shares of Target, roughly 13 million. They closed and rolled their positions in Applied Materials. That resulted in a $6.6 million credit, so that's a nice way to end the week. Unfortunately, that's because Applied Materials dropped so much. So here's your protective puts at work. So we buy puts to protect our shares. We went ahead and sold those at the end of the week for just about $16 a share, or $6.7 million. Not a ton made on the close and roll portion, just on the puts. We spent a decent amount of money. We actually spent more money buying protective puts going into next week than we collected selling calls for next week. Target, this is just selling more calls and buying more puts, the collar strategy for the Target shares we just bought today. So that resulted in a $14,000 profit. Normally that's much bigger, but again, either they're buying puts closer than they normally do, or just with everything that, the downward sentiment in the market, puts have gotten more expensive. But in either case, right, we're collecting $1.90, $1.95 to sell the calls, and we're paying $1.80 to buy the puts. So not a lot of profit there. 14,000. And then finally, the last thing that had to be closed and rolled for the week was Unity Software, closing out their 3750s for expiring today and rolling to 40s next week. So having to roll up and out cost us $687,000. All in all, that resulted in a profitable trading day of $5.9 million. That's a credit. Overall, obviously, Monday kind of set us up to not have a chance for the week, but would have been okay otherwise if that had been an average day. And we were down today. The market, at least the underlying funds that we had, decreased in value by 27 million. All right, so we're not going to really talk about any of these options. So now at this point, The last two underlyings got rolled. That's what the orange is. To next week, there's now nothing left open, obviously, for today because it expired today. And this isn't the video where we talk about next week's options. We will do that over the weekend in the week look ahead. So we will quickly go through. Affirm Holdings was up 2%, resulted in a $2 million increase. Applied Materials was the biggest decrease, down over 14%, dropped our value by $11 million. AppLovin up over 1%. AST Space Mobile down about 0.8%. Again, all options have been rolled to next week at this point, and we're going into the weekend, so we're not worried about spending time on that. AST Space Mobile down 0.87%. Bitmine Immersion down 4.3%. That dropped us by over $5 million in value. Webull up 3.5%. Coinbase down 2.25%. Core Weave actually ended up slightly, but nowhere near where this put needs to end up. This put spread, rather. Galaxy Digital, that was another rough day, down 8.6%, or dropping our value by $11 million. Robinhood up 3% plus. Next week's call is already in the money. We saw that also with Webull and the puts for CoreWeave. IonQ down almost 2%, still above 40 though. Mara Holdings down 0.5%. MicroStrategy down 1.7%. Nebius Group, the big winner today, up 4.6%, taking them well over 70, increasing the value by $6.8 million. Oklo giving a lot of that back with a 3.5% drop and a $5.1 million decrease. Palo Alto Networks up over 2%. Palantir down 2.1%, but they've been on a heck of a run lately. Still 177 plus. Reddit up 1.25%, just about. So they'll be starting the week in the money as well. Rigetti Computing had a rough day, down 7.4%, gave up $13 million in value. Here's the one line that didn't get closed out that is for the 15th, but it was literally two contracts that would have been like a penny to close. They just didn't spend the $2-3. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or a partial fill the day before, and then they just didn't think it was worth the fees to close that out. Let it just expire out of the money. And that's not even a call. It's a purchased put. So somehow when they were selling their puts to close them, they probably just couldn't get this one to fill. Rocket Lab up 3.4%, over $5 million in value. SMCI down about 0.25%. New Scale Power down 1.28%. Target down 1.1%. Tesla down 1.5%. Unity Software down a little over 1%. That made that last closeout a little cheaper than it would have been the day before. And Upstart Holding up 0.4%. All those increases and decreases is how we've resulted in a $27.5 million decrease in value. I just want to take a quick couple minutes to look and see if how our puts are looking value-wise. You can see a lot of value in these AppLovin puts, over $2 million. Looks like it's worth more than what it would cost to close out the calls. Got some decent value here, almost $4 million in puts. So we've purchased these puts, so we have these. That is value that we're going to get to sell and collect that money. Same thing here, Bitmine Immersion. We're sitting on over $8 million in value in these puts. Yeah, we don't have to go through every single one of them. Just looking for big ones that jumped out like those that we talked about. Roughly, MicroStrategy's puts are worth just about as much as their sold calls are going to cost. Roughly 1.5 million there. Looks like our Palantir puts are going to be worth more than our calls are going to cost to close out. Palantir is actually one of our lower percentages. You see 86 million in them. It's only 2.8% when our average is 4%. So this is why we buy those protective puts. It's a little bit, that wasn't supposed to happen, a little bit of a downturn. So buying these puts is resulting in some protection for the NAV. It would be dropping much worse if we didn't have them. All right. We started the day with $3.3 billion in assets under management. Yesterday, with it being a down day, lots of money came into the fund, buying almost 19.5 million more shares, 566,650,000 outstanding shares. I'm sure with another day where prices touched into the 580s, we're going to get a whole lot more purchases today that we will get reported tomorrow. All right. Today was payday, so you got your 10 plus cents. I wonder if you bought some more shares. I did. I think I got 580s, something in the 580s. Okay, next we go through LFGY. They had a couple more to close out than ULTY did. First one being BitDeer, close and roll to next week. Now they don't buy puts, so they're not having to spend a lot of money on them, but they also don't have the protection. They collected 81,000 on the close and roll to next week on BitDeer. iShares Ethereum Trust ETF close out for this week, paying 2 cents, selling for next week 68 cents a share, $119,000. All the closeouts on BitDeer worked out well too, anywhere from 6 to 21 cents, collecting 50 something cents at a time. Galaxy Digital closing out for 41 cents, selling for 80 cents, so not a whole lot of profit there. The sold calls though had some, or the purchased calls that they then got to sell at the end had some values too, basically offsetting just about the closeout price. So all in all, $136,000 credit. GameStop closing for 3 cents, selling new for 22 cents, brought in $30,000. NU Holdings paying 21 cents to close their 13s and selling 1350s next week, only collecting 18 cents. Plus they had to buy a further out of the money call as their protection. Resulted in a $37,000 debit. NVIDIA closing out for 5 cents this week's positions and selling, dropped the price by $2.50, collecting $2.22 a share, $38,000 credit. And finally, Riot closing out for a penny and selling their further out of the money calls for a penny. So the closeout was completely free. Selling the new calls for 24 cents, buying the protection for 7, resulted in a $118,000 credit. All in all, a credit of $487,000 on the trading day. It's going to go with a decrease in value of just under $1 million. So we take a look at how that happened. BitDeer down 4.3%. Lot lower assets under management. If you haven't seen these videos before, 191 million compared to 3.3 billion. So we're going to have much smaller changes in value based off of these increases and decreases. BitDeer down 2.8%. So maybe we'll just only highlight if we got a real big one. CleanSpark down 2% today. Coinbase Global, like we said in the other one, down 2.25% roughly. That cost them $339,000 in value. Core Scientific was up 2.13%. So their calls next week will be starting in the money. Oh, I don't know what the screen's doing. Circle Internet Group. Big day, but not the biggest. 7.2% increase. $414,000 value increase. ETHA down about 3.5%. The big loser today, Galaxy Digital, down 8.68%. $638,000 of value. GameStop was up 0.2%. Robinhood Markets up over 3%. Their calls next week will be starting in the money, similar to Hut 8 Corp, starting in the money by 1 and 5.6% after a drop today of 2%. So they were even further. iBit down 0.8%. Mara down 0.5%. Again, they're starting in the money with those 1550s. MBTX, we don't really track the changes because we don't have any shares, so it's not increasing or decreasing our value other than the options themselves as they go in or out of the money. Mercado Libre up 3.1%, so they've got a long week ahead of them where basically the stock needs to sit still in order to win the trades. Obviously, they're perfectly fine with the stock going up. MicroStrategy, or just Strategy, down 1.78%. The big winner today, NU Holdings, over 9% increase, resulted in a $686,000 value increase. NVIDIA down 0.86%. Opera up almost 6% today, so that's nice because they were nice and far out of the money. So get to realize all of that increase without having to worry about your options going in the money. $427,000 value increase. PayPal down 0.2%. Riot Platforms down 7.5%. So that actually made the closeout go in their favor because they were well in the money before today for them to drop to 5.9 after a 7.5% drop, but it did drop their value by $641,000 and Block down about 1/3%. So that's how we resulted in that $983,000 decrease. There's approximately 192 million in assets under management. 50,000 new shares bought yesterday, bringing the total outstanding shares up to 5.3 million. And 44.84 cents is what you should have received in your account this morning. All right, so that's about it. We can do our recap real quick. ULTY had a $5.9 million credit in their options trading profit and loss, and a $27.5 million decrease in value. And then LFGY had a $487,000 credit as far as trading profit and loss for the day, and a $983,000 decrease in share value. All right, so I got a dad joke of the day for you. I'm very sorry for getting this out so late. Obviously, it's going to premiere after midnight at this point with upload time, so Friday video is going to come out Saturday. Sorry about that. But had to have fun with the kids on our last night at the beach. So I got a dad joke for you, and just want to thank everybody for all the comments and shares and likes and everything, feedback. Very much appreciated. All right, dad joke. A man who was in court for stealing a bag got sentenced in just 3 minutes. It was a briefcase. All right, have a good night. I'm sure at this point you guys are catching this in the morning. So watch out for this Ambassador Kwan. I think they're called Spaces tomorrow. Should be a fun one. All right, have a good night.